Have you ever been asked out on a second date by someone who turns out forgot about your first date? Because I have. Let's get into it. Hello, lovely people everywhere. We are back for officially episode 3 of Unscripted with Ellen. That's me. I'm a little nervous about today's topic, which is dating. These days, everybody's talking about how nobody's getting married or staying married anymore, the declining birth rate, how single women aren't looking to date anymore. The outlook of dating and maybe getting married is so different these days to what, our parents dealt with. So yeah, it's a little bit controversial just because it's all changing. Things are so different now. Even as a single person myself, I can say getting in a relationship just looks different these days. I was for many years a serial monogamist. I would sort of have one long relationship and then go into the next long relationship shortly after and jump ahead to today. And I've been single for almost 6 years now, and I just haven't had success dating. It's just different these days. Everybody's meeting on the apps. And honestly, even when I try to meet people out in real life, it just doesn't go so well. I feel like people don't approach each other and ask each other on official dates like they used to. They might flirt or something, but like even for me, the last time I went to a bar with a girlfriend to like maybe try to meet people, the guys that chatted us up were married. Turns out they were married. Like, excuse me, why are you buying us drinks and you're married? I find that with dating, men are either looking for like their next wife, mom, caretaker, homemaker, moving in tomorrow, taking care of his children from another mother, or they lie to you about what they're looking for when really all they want is sex, or they just have issues when it comes to actually having a serious relationship, things that they have not personally addressed and they don't come up until later in the dating process. And it's like clear that this is going nowhere. That seems to be like my landscape of what's out there at the moment. I've been on all the dating apps at some point or another. I check them sometimes these days. I do a little swiping here or there, but I don't go on dates hardly ever. I feel like I weed most people out before it even gets to the point you might meet someone in person. I'm just very, very selective these days. Also, just in the sense that, like, I'm happy. I have so much peace in my life. I don't have a man making a mess in my apartment or like having to talk about schedules or what we're having for dinner. I kind of love all of that. I feel very independent and I enjoy my free time. And yeah, I do love my singledom at this point because I just haven't met anyone that adds to what I already have, somebody that adds peace, that adds je ne sais quoi, like it's usually a situation where I'm feeling drained or like I'm just losing attention. I could be focusing on things that enrich other parts of my life and like that I'm giving my energy to a person that often doesn't reflect energy back to me. They're more of like a sponge sucking energy situation. And I'm just not having that these days. So yeah, I'm single because I'm really just not looking for settling. I'm really not. I want either the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift romance story or nothing at all. Yeah, we're going there. T Swizzle got engaged, babes. The ring looks lovely. I'm excited for them. Okay, I didn't mean to get into this, but I have heard a little backlash like, why are we celebrating Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce getting engaged so much? Like, why is it so exciting that marriage be the end goal for women these days? And I guess that's one perspective. But at the same time, I think we can celebrate that, yo, they're in love. Hello. They are head over heels. They are cute. They are expressive about it. He is expressive about it. He is like on an episode of Love Island all the time, gushing about his partner. You know what I mean? It's almost as if he is on a reality TV show, because in what other arena do you have men discussing their feelings and desires and what's going on in their bodies? Like, I can remember someone on Love Island being like, "Oh, I felt a rush of hot energy in my chest." I was like, "Ooh, like, but when do you hear men talk like that?" But Travis Kelce, he is not shy about it. And I think I just love that. It's worth celebrating that he went out there and got his girl, and he will make a fool of himself for her and go over the top and plan it all and gush over her. And women love to see that because it doesn't happen. Most of the time, men are telling us our standards are too high, that we're only looking for the same 10% of men, that we need to lower our standards, anti realistic. And it's like, no, we want that. We want the romance. We want the guy that unabashedly gushes over us in public and isn't afraid to be seen as a simp. I'm sorry, Travis Kelce is a simp for that girl. You can tell, okay? He did a little dance number touring on her worldwide tour, okay? He put on a silly little tux and did their little act on stage in front of all her fans. This is a football guy and he's doing this. So, yes, I'm going to call Travis Kelce a simp, and I love to see it. I wish more men were like that, more simplified out there. But I do feel like I often get an energy where people are looking what they can get from you, whether it be the Raya crowd. I don't know if you know about the Raya dating app. It's like a lot of industry influencer people. A lot of them live in the big cities, New York, LA, and you can see celebrities on there sometimes, but there's like that energy of like, what can I get from people from like dating them? Like, people want to date up for clout. But then there's also just this energy of, what do you bring to the table? And do you cook? And I'm just not here for that. Like, I'm looking for someone that can just recognize that me showing up is the prize, that can see my innate worth. And I don't find that in dating so much. And maybe it's because of the apps that things have become so superficial, but it's just never going to a deeper level that I'm really looking for. So it just peters out all the time. Dating has not been successful for me. I have so many horror stories from dating over the last 5 to 6 years. I don't even know if I could spill them all out on one episode because there's so many. But lately, I've had like talking stage with a few people recently, just exchanging messages, maybe a phone call or two. I like to do that these days instead of meeting up. I know men want to meet up right away, but for me, it's just not worth it. It's not worth my time, my makeup supply, my safety, putting my safety at potential risk to meet up with somebody that I'm not feeling pretty confident about. A couple people that I've had those talking stages with, I've kind of had to tell off recently. One guy I had actually met in person, I'll say through like a fitness class. And I knew him for months and months at this place. We're very friendly and we had exchanged numbers, exchanged Instagrams. You know, we were in touch with each other. We would go to events for this fitness thing together sometimes, like not together, but we would all be there and like hang out. It was sort of like a small group that got really close. So I knew him from this group, and I thought maybe he was going to ask me out on a real date because We knew each other, there was a vibe, but he never actually got around to asking me on a real date. I could count 10, 20 times I got messages from him saying, "When are we hanging out? Are you coming over? Ooh, let's have some wine." Never saying, "Let me take you to dinner. Are you free on this date and time?" Never planning anything, actually expressing a romantic interest. It all just seemed like Netflix and chill vibes. Yeah, I got really fed up with it. This guy replied yummy to like multiple Instagram stories of mine. He was just getting really sexual in his tone when he was trying to message me. He would not ask me on a real date. And eventually I was just like, hey, as a friend, I have to tell you, I'm not down with this vibe. I don't really move like that. And he got defensive. And I don't think he really understood that that's all he was offering or like throwing in my direction was just this like horny, want to hang out vibe, which is not attractive, at least not to me. I'm not looking for that. So he tried to deny it and then he got a bit defensive, but I was like, as a friend, you're lucky I told you and I hope you get it. Thanks for understanding. And I just left it like that because I just don't have the energy to even entertain these men at this point. I don't have time to explain to them how to treat me and how to ask me out on a proper date. But yeah, that's the vibe of dating. It's been super fun. Some of dating has been rather traumatic. I've had men definitely mistreat me, lie to me. A man lying about his intentions and what type of relationship he's looking for and letting things get serious when really that's not what he's looking for actually feels like they've revoked my consent. It feels like some degree of sexual assault to have someone be physical with me under false pretenses. And that has happened multiple times. And so I just don't feel like giving men a chance, at least physically. That's why I'm slow to meet up in person. I don't like things to get sexual fast. I don't even like too flirty of language right away. I want to feel like they're getting to know me as a person, that they are curious about all aspects of me and not just like, "Ooh, she's hot" or whatever. I'm just so not down with that. I got to tell you some of my dating horror stories for this to really be solidified for you. I can give you two horror stories tied into one. It's an LA magic trick. Okay, so I was working on a feature film and I was on the crew. I was doing basically utility stand in. Okay, so I was standing in for main cast, for crew to set up lighting, to set up the cameras, to get everything ready to go for main cast to just step in and do their thing. That said, this was a very small production, which was wrapping up things post COVID. They had like shot some things abroad during COVID. And so it was like this mishmash of things they were trying to wrap up at the last minute in LA. And it turned out they needed me to really do more than be a utility stand in. They actually wound up having me read lines off camera with the main cast. And also at that time, they were discussing giving me lines, giving me a character in the film for like this pickup shot they needed. And I was like, amazing. Okay. Come to find out, they didn't follow through on that, even though they had wardrobe, but like get me set up to do my scene and everything. They didn't follow through with it, which was a horror story in itself. But the lead actor of this film, who was also producing the whole project, he started to flirt with me on set pretty much immediately. He was acting so impressed that I was like reading lines on set, and he was like, "Oh, where did we hire you from? You're amazing. You're so professional." Really talking me up. And this guy's a mega celebrity, which when you're sort of a lower position on set, you really don't bother these people. They are doing their thing. You leave them alone. Okay. Here he is interacting with me on set. He sees me maybe a little chilly at some point and he thinks I might be a little cold. He brings me a blanket and he's like, "Oh, this might help." He's like going way above and beyond. He invites me to eat lunch with main cast on set. And everyone's like, who is this? And he's like introducing me to everyone. I'm like, I don't know. But he was very, very friendly. And he asked for my phone number while we're still filming during the week. He messages me in the evening. He's like, oh, that was a crazy day. You were great. See you tomorrow. I'm like, this is so strange, but all right. He's nice. I'll just go with it. And last day of filming, it obviously is clear that I'm not going to get this dialogue that they were kind of telling me I was going to get, that they weren't going to fit it in on the last day, even. So he's like letting me down that I'm not going to get this role that they had mentioned I was going to be written into this film. And he starts scrolling through my Instagram on set on the last day of filming. There's other cast members sitting around. He's scrolling through my Instagram and he starts making comments like, ooh, your ass looks so good in this shot, and things like that, like complimenting my body. And I'm like, this is a little uncomfortable. And then he sees on my Instagram that I have an OnlyFans, and he starts making a couple little quiet comments about that again while we're on set and there are some other people within earshot. I'm even more uncomfortable. But I'm like, again, he's been cool up until now. He's this big celebrity. This is his movie. Like, I'm trying to like let it go, right? The evening that we wrapped the movie, he popped up on my OnlyFans and he purchased several $100s worth of content. And then I think maybe a couple days later, he hit me up on Instagram again and he asked me on a date. And I was just like, okay, this is kind of wild, but yeah, I'll go on a date with this guy. He invited me to this breakfast spot. We go, it's this cute little place. It's a nice enough date. We part ways and I don't really hear from him again. So I just don't think much of it. I'm like, whatever. He messages me a little bit online still, but he doesn't ask me on a second date. And I just let it go. But a little time passes and he hits me up again and he asks me on a second date. And I'm like, great. Okay, we'll try this again. Even though the first date didn't go anywhere, really, like, we'll give it another shot. And he suggests the same breakfast spot. And I'm like, this must be in his neighborhood. He loves this spot. He did like it the first time. I guess he knew some of the people that worked there. So it's his like go to spot. But he suggests the same breakfast spot and we go there. And immediately I can tell that the vibe is off because he messages me a couple minutes beforehand and he's like, hey, I'm running a few minutes late. Sorry, I had something come up. I was like, no worries. I'm waiting outside the restaurant for him. I wait outside the restaurant for like 5 minutes. He's not that late. He shows up, but he walks right by me. I'm like standing outside the restaurant. I'm glancing at my phone, I think, because, I'm just waiting. And next time I look up, he had walked right past me in this little outdoor area and gotten in line in the restaurant to order inside. And I'm like, how did he not see me standing here? So I go in and I'm like, hey. And he's like, oh, I didn't see you. I was like, yeah, I was right out front. And he looked at me and he's like, oh, I wasn't expecting you. He was just like kind of in a flurry a little bit. And he also looked a little bit disheveled. I was like, is he hungover? Maybe. He walked right past me. Anyways, so then we're in line together to order our breakfast. It's like an order and then sit down spot. And while we're in line to order, he asks me, have you ever eaten here before? And I'm like, yes, we had our first date here. We sat right over there in the window. Do you remember? And he was like, oh my God, like, yes. I suggested the same place again. And I was like, yep, you sure did. And I was just like, I don't know how to take this. This man forgot our first date entirely. He shows up a little bit late. He's disheveled. He doesn't even see me out front. I'm like, what is going on? Anyways, that guy again, like, sort of ghosted after that second date. I think he felt a little emasculated or something just because it did not go well. But he's back in my DMs again. So he's just one of those pop in, pop out, seeing if he can get a bite types. I think I did not respond to his last message, if I'm being honest. Maybe I will, maybe I won't at some point. But connected to this story is another date gone terribly bad. My very worst first date ever, actually, I think. So, on the same set where I met this A-list actor who was flirting with me, asked me on a couple dates, I also met a crew member who was just nice. We talked about rock climbing on set. We just talked about nature stuff and enjoying hiking. And I remember one day he left set to get like good coffee and he just brought me back something and it was just sweet. I just thought it was thoughtful. And he asked for my number when the movie was wrapping and I gave it to him. He just wasn't my usual type to date, I guess, but I thought he's nice and I'll give him a shot. So I agreed to go on a date with him. And because I had worked with him for almost a week already on set, I thought I kind of knew his demeanor a bit and knew him in a social setting, accountable to other people a bit. I just felt like I had a better sense of who he was. So I agreed that our first date could be a hiking date, which normally I would never go on a hiking date for a first date because, like, perfect place to murder a woman in the woods, you know? Also, like, if the date's not going well, not so easy to just drive off and be like, "Huh, see ya." So I wouldn't normally go on a hiking date, but because I felt like I knew him a bit, I agreed to it. Day of, I immediately know it's not going to go well because he shows up to pick me up at my house and I get in his truck and there's no air conditioning. And it is a hot ass summer day, you guys. It was a hot day. And he has the windows all the way down. It's hot in the car. He's like, sorry, the AC went out. And I was like, "Oh, when did it go out?" And he was like, "Oh, well, it hasn't worked in a long time." I was like, "Oh, okay." So he just has a car without an AC, basically, which, okay, try not to judge too much on that. But then he's just like, he just starts to complain about this AC being broken so much that I'm like, not even I can pretend that it's all okay because you're just so cranky and negative about the AC not working that obviously it's an issue now. And unfortunately, we had to drive all the way across the city to go hiking in Malibu, which was our plan, stupidly. So we get all the way out to Malibu and we proceed to have the worst hike ever. Not only is it like super hot out, but he proceeds to persistently ask me questions about the A-list actor on set who had obviously been flirting with me some. And he clearly had some obsession with this celebrity, even though he had been working on set as well. I don't know what his issue was, but we're in the Malibu area and we have plans to go to this cute little seaside seafood spot afterwards. And I'm like, yay, I'm so excited to go sit, get a meal. I'm starving at this point, get like a cold beverage. Then we get to the place and we look up at the menu and he comments that the meals are really expensive. And he says, maybe we could split something. And I'm like, no, this man is broke. He's very, very broke. And normally I would just be like, sure, we can split something, but I was starving. We had just been on this long, hot hike. I wanted to get a drink. I wanted to get a big meal. And so I said to him, well, I'm really hungry. So how about if you want to just order yours and I'll order mine and then we can just each have something. And he would not let me pay for my own meal. He got so offended and dramatic about it. He just clearly did not want me to pay for anything, but at the same time, he could not pay for me to get my own meal. He had to have us split it. So we sit down to eat this split meal. And as he's going to shove some fried fish into his mouth for the first time, I notice that his teeth are completely rotted out. And not in like he grew up in the UK, never had braces sort of way. It was like, wow, I think this man had a meth problem at some point. It was like that level of rot. And also, I was like, how did I not notice this? I had spoken to this man for over a week on set. Clearly, he had never smiled because I would have seen this. He had like hidden it so well up until this point, up until he was eating. Clearly, this was going nowhere. So he drives me home. It's the evening at this point. The date had gone absolutely horrifically. There was no chance of a second date ever happening. But as he pulls up to my apartment building, he kind of pulls over to the side and he looks at me and he gets serious for a second. And he's like, "Hey, I feel like I should say, I'm just not looking for anything serious right now. And I just feel like I should be upfront with you about that." And I was like, cool story, bro. Like, awesome. See you later. Cause I was never going to have another date with this guy. I never wanted to see him again. It's like, that's great. Good for you. I will not be partaking in that, but I just wanted to get out of this car. But as I'm like saying, like, okay, bye, he goes, "So should I park?" And I'm like, for what? For what? And he's like, "To come up." And I was like, "No, no." I was so flabbergasted. I did not even know what to say to this man. So I was like, "Ugh, my apartment's messy." And he's like, "Oh, I don't care." And he's like, "I do. I don't have people over on a first date." Got out of the car. I got up to my apartment and I immediately started texting my best girlfriend, giving her the hot gossip because this was the date from hell. This was the worst date you could possibly imagine. This guy was absolutely insane. And as I'm there texting her the hot gossip, not even 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes after the date, I get a text message from this man saying, "Send me some nudes." The audacity, the audacity. Then I had to tell him off. Then officially, I was not flabbergasted. I had many words to say, and I told him off. And he apologized and acted like, "Oh, I didn't mean anything." And I was just like, "No, you suck. Don't ever, ever contact me again." I blocked him. That was my very, very first, worst first date ever. Worst first date ever. Also connected to, I guess, a series of other bad dates with that A-list actor. So that's sort of like a weird LA mishmash. Maybe only happens to me. I doubt it. Things like that happen in this city. I'll give you another example of dating gone terribly awry. I briefly dated a stunt actor who lived on the other side of town. Dating him was like kind of sporadic. We would talk a lot on the phone. I went to a restaurant with him once over closer to his place, hung out at his house once. And then the first time he was coming on a date on my side of town, we're hanging out, but his demeanor seems really weird. I can tell immediately when he picks me up, he's like cranky. Again, with men and their crankiness, just giving them away. I don't know. Something's afoot with this man, right? So he picks me up. He's weird. We get to this restaurant. It's like an order and sit down type of place. He's like, "Why don't you go snag us a table? What do you want? I'll order it for you." I'm like, "Great." I tell him what I want. I go save us what I think is the best table. And then he comes over with our food and he had ordered me the wrong thing. And he didn't even order me what I asked him for. And literally what he ordered me was so disgusting looking. I was so disappointed. I tried to hide my disappointment, but also as he comes over, he's like, "Oh, this is the table you want?" And he's like, "Can we like move?" And he made us like get up and like move and find another table. It was just a lot. Okay. The vibes were already off on this date, but we're talking and we had already known each other for a little while. So he winds up coming over to just hang out at my apartment after we go out for food. And as he's sitting, actually, literally in this chair, I see him cross his legs. And for the first time, he sort of reveals his ankle. And on his ankle is a bulky ass ankle monitor. No joke. You could not mistake it for anything else. It was a damn ankle monitor. And I know he saw me clock it because instantaneously he crosses his legs, exposes it. See, he sees me see the ankle monitor. he immediately like kind of covers it with his arm and uncrosses his legs. Like he obviously hides it. Then he picks a random ass fight with me over I don't even know what. And he storms out of my apartment, like trying to get my attention away from the fact that I clearly just spotted an ankle monitor on him. That's why he picked some other random fight over nothing and left. I wait a little bit and then I message him and I'm like, not to judge, just want to inquire. And I think it's maybe something we should communicate about. But I did notice the thing on your ankle. And he immediately gets defensive and starts messaging me. That's something for somatic health. It vibrates at times to help with anxiety and stuff. And I'm like, no, sir, no. And I do search Google to see if there is such a thing. And there is kind of, you can wear it on your wrist, something that will like vibrate for somatic therapy. It does not look like what I saw, which was a chunky, bulky ass ankle monitor. Okay. And then the fact that he got so defensive about it and he was like, how dare you even ask if I have an ankle monitor? Like that just goes to show what kind of person you are. He like threw it all back in my face. Anyways, this man was also clearly insane. I do a little further research online. I find out I didn't even have his real name. I had a stage name, which was not his legal name. So I don't know anything about this man when it comes down to it. And he was terrifying. And I obviously never saw him again. So that was another instance of my dating life just being pure chaos. And it's really exhausting because you're trying to vet these people, you're trying to keep yourself safe, you're trying to be emotionally available while also emotionally protecting yourself. And eventually, when shit like this keeps happening, you're just like, yeah, I'm removing myself from these scenarios, which is why I don't date so much these days because your girl is burnt out. She's definitely burnt out. And I have found that men are quite dishonest often about what they're even looking for. So it's been very disheartening for me. I don't really feel like I want to be emotionally available anymore, which sucks, but I am aware that like I do have to protect myself and focus my energy on things that do benefit my life and make me feel fulfilled and safe and like I'm honoring who I am as a person. And dating just is not doing that in this current environment. I'm so tired of the dialogue about dating and like who should pay. Any man that is like, we should split on the first date, or if a woman's not offering to pay, she's a gold digger. I'm just like, really? Is that what you sum it up as? I feel like that is so ignorant to recognizing what women put on the line just to even show up and see what you're about. To have a woman just show up and see what you have going on and give you a consideration or a shot, you should be fucking grateful. And I will say that because women put themselves at immense risk to go dating. Women are mainly murdered by people they know, romantic partners. Dating is dangerous. Sexual activity is more dangerous for women than for heterosexual men. Women are at higher risk of STDs. They're at higher risk of being raped, assaulted, and these men want to split the bill on a date. It just feels really naive and selfish and disrespectful because women innately offer so much. I know I'm not the only woman that is just over the state of dating, totally over it. There's news articles about it all the time. Women are not getting married because marriage is a bad deal. And I think often dating is a bad deal. What do women really get out of it? Often. I know I haven't gotten anything out of it. I've gotten annoyed. I've gotten my time wasted. I've gotten taken advantage of. That doesn't really encourage me to get back out there and like raise the birth rate in this nation. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit about the declining birth rate. Like, I can't even get someone to treat me well. So don't even get me started on the debate over the declining birth rate. It's hilarious. Someone once said that men want children the way kids want puppies. And I'm like, yeah, that's so true. I mean, maybe there is a rare exception where I think a guy genuinely wants to be a dad, but Often they just want kids, and wanting to be a dad and wanting kids are two very different things. Anyways, a lot of women are fed up with dating and are just embracing their single life. And I am one of those people, and it's been great. I honestly love being single. Like I said, I was a serial monogamist for many years. So being single for almost 6 years now, it's the longest time I've ever had to just focus on myself and what I need to do and what makes me happy and fulfilled. And it has been so healing. I don't think I realized how much I really needed this time alone to just focus on myself and really find myself. And it makes me sad that I think a lot of women miss out on that if they rush into getting into a long-term relationship, into getting married. Some women never have a chance to like really experience their independence. And I feel like that's been so important to me. So I've really embraced just where I'm at in life and hanging out with my cat. I wish dating was more fun. I think I would do it more often, but I'm perfectly fine not dating. I mean, even just speaking of sex, like casual sex has never been good for me. I'm so not into it. In general, men are not great at sex. I'm sorry to say it. Orgasm gap, hello, especially in casual relationships. So, like, again, why would I date just to try to get off? Like, men do that, but for women, that just does not make sense. Like, if I want an evening where I'm having sexual pleasure, it will be at home by myself with my vibrator. And that's just facts. And that's true for a lot of women who are even in relationships. So let's be honest. I don't need men for sexual pleasure. I don't. Perfectly fine on my own. Would it be fun to have a great night with someone? Sure. But I already know the odds are stacked against that. So, like, whatever. If it were to happen at some point, great. But I'm not desperate for it. I'm not counting on it. It's fine. I'm also at an age where I don't think about having kids so much. I don't feel like I need them in any capacity. In fact, when I hang out with other friends' children, there are a lot. Anytime I've babysat in recent years, I'm like, thank God I don't have any regrets because I just couldn't handle it. I don't desire to have screaming, boogery, demanding kids. That said, maybe I could be inspired to have one and I might like drink the Kool-Aid and think it was cute. But we are so far from that. It's not something I fantasize about, truly. And I don't know if I ever did. I don't think I ever really did fantasize about having kids. I think maybe in the back of my mind, I thought it was just like expected. It would just happen at some point that, oh, eventually I would really want it. That really hasn't happened. So these days, I don't think about it so much. I think I sort of like it may or may not happen, and that's fine, and in fact, if it doesn't happen, that might be, like, a huge blessing. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, aren't you scared of dying alone?" We all die alone, honey. Almost all of us, okay? For instance, I currently have a grandmother with dementia who, even with 3 children, all of their families cannot make it work to like have her in their home because of other commitments they have going on and like other family members that are sick. And so she is in a home right now being taken care of by strangers. And while we do visit and try to see her as much as we can, technically she's dying alone, honey. I hope someone's there when she goes, but like you cannot guarantee that for anyone. So anytime someone used that as like a fear tactic for women of like, oh, you're not going to settle down, you're going to die alone, like shut the fuck up. Who knows what the future holds? But I like having fewer expectations romantically and just being open to what the universe brings because having expectations is just a guarantee for failure. I think when it comes to dating and romantic life, like there's just so many things you cannot predict. It is what it is. I think a lot of love has to do with luck, being in the right place at the right time. And, you can be open to luck, but you can't make it appear. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Unscripted with Ellen. It's been fun chatting about dating and some horror stories and the apps, etc., etc. If you have any questions for future episodes, please send them my way. And please follow and rate this on all your audio services, i.e., Apple, Spotify, YouTube. If you feel like sharing with a friend, bonus points for you. Thanks for listening, and I can't wait to chat with you on next week's episode. Bye.